Arise Play, the #1 streaming channel from the heart of Africa. Celebrating black talent and excellence in the world of entertainment. Blockbuster movies.
I make this look good.
Popular TV series.
Let the game begin.
Live music. Behind the scene action.
Head on over to Arise Play and let's get woke together. My new series Woke is exclusively on Arise Play.
Plus, so much more.
Yes!
What are you waiting for? Download the app. Or visit the website today to subscribe. Join a new world of entertainment. Arise Play. Beyond streaming.
A very warm welcome to this week, 60 minutes of analytical review of the big stories, topical issues and all the controversies around the world. I'm Somna Sambo. Coming up, we review President Muhammadu Buhari's exclusive interview with Arise News. It tells us his biggest worry is the northwest of the country, where he's given security forces the power to be ruthless. And Nigeria celebrates Democracy Day. June 12th marks a memorable day in the country's political history. It reminds Nigerians of the country's freest and fairest presidential election involving late Chief Moshood Kashimao Olawale Abiola. Plus, the 9th National Assembly is giving account of its 2-year stewardship. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, while giving account, explains why there is need for public understanding on the Parliament's constant approval for specific borrowings for President Muhammadu Buhari's government to achieve its campaign promises despite outcry by Nigerians. President Muhammadu Buhari has given an exclusive interview to Arise News. He spoke against the backdrop of deepening insecurity and rising violence across the country, growing unemployment, worsening inflation, and an economy still recovering from a punishing recession. He said he will take a tougher approach towards insecurity, particularly against bandits and criminal gangs in the northwest and separatists in the southeast, warning that the police and the army had been given powers to be ruthless. Let's take an excerpt.
The problem of the northeast was very difficult. The governor, the present governor, is working very hard. He's taking a lot of risk. And I asked him, this Boko Haram, is it our people, is it Nigerians or people coming out? He said they are Nigerians, most of them. They are Nigerians. As I said, the only way we got them around was that you can't kill innocent people and said God is great. That worked very well, but I think we have a problem of unemployment. We have a problem of a lot of youth looking basically for what to eat, not even to talk of accommodation or dress. The level of poverty is almost unimaginable. I will give you one example of recent. 2 governors from the Southwest came to tell me that the cattle rearers in some of the forests there have killed farmers while their cattle were eating on their crops. So I told them, you campaigned to be elected, and you are elected. He said, yes. I said, go back and sort out yourselves. Because there has been a system, as all of us here could recall, even your local government, when there are security at each level, at local government, at state, it consists the traditional leaders in that area who have been there for generations. So they know all the crooks in their locality.
All right, to help us understand the issues from a deeper perspective, we're joined by Senator Ibrahim Ida, the Deputy Chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum. He's also a member of the 6th Senate of the National Assembly and former Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense. He's also from President Buhari's home state of Katsina. You're welcome. Thank you. We are also joined by Honorable Bimbo Daramola, a former member of the House of Representatives who represented Ekiti North constituency in the 7th National Assembly. You're warmly welcome.
Thank you, Sambo.
Well, good to have you gentlemen in the studio.
Thank you.
Some people have described President Buhari as being classic. They say this is the classic Buhari for you.
Yes.
A lot of people have said several things against him, thinking that he was unaware of what's going on in the country. Yeah. But here you are seeing President Buhari in this exclusive interview with Arise News hitting at the issues and giving standing orders to the police and the military to go after bandits, especially in the Northwest, which is the recent area that we're having challenges in the country, just like the Southeast, apart from the Northeast that we've always had. What's your general overview of President Buhari's interview?
Thank you very much. I think, first of all, it portrayed the president as fully aware of what is going on. It showed him as a decisive leader. It showed him as a determined leader. It also showed him as one that is prepared to do whatever it takes to make sure that Nigeria not only survives, but thrives and remain what it is within Africa and within the Committee of Nations. So I will say that, whoever doubted whether or not the president was aware of the going-ons, I think, he should have had his answer from that interview.
Honorable Bimbo, yeah. A lot of Nigerians had been taken aback by some of the things that President Buhari had said. And then we have had a lot of people also saying that President Buhari in the past has been quiet, not speaking to the nation, despite the heated matters. With this interview, what's your overview of his thinking and what you think the Buhari presidency is doing to address the issues of Nigeria?
Well, let me thank you very much, Sambo, for the opportunity to speak to these issues. But first and foremost, you pulled the hat trick, by pulling the president out of what some people have described as his cocoon, A few people have been uncharitable with this president by saying that he's cocooned, he's walled in, and not willing to talk to Nigerians who voted for him. But now he has broken that jinx. And it's done that, it's another hard trick by the president is that in 48 hours, this president has gone out to speak to Nigerians right through NTA and your station. When I saw your the first encounter with the president, I said, well, trust Nduka Bagbena the Duke for pulling all kind of things around. Now, back to the speech of the president. There's no doubt about it that if anybody was like, oh, this president is flat-footed, he doesn't have a hang of issues and all of those things, I think this has proved that to be very untrue. I heard things like, I hope, this is, because before I speak to that, I hope that this becomes the Marshall Plan. This becomes the marching orders hereto and heretofore. When a president, the commander-in-chief, who also has a military background, speaks to issues like this. One, the president has showed clearly that he's emotional. And he wants this done and done with in quick turnaround time. And I see this president giving this martial and marching orders with clarity. And a few people had isolated his choice of words, ruthlessly. But then, haven't the bandits been ruthless with Nigerians? So, there must be a contextual appreciation of the speech of the president vis-a-vis the realities that we've had to deal with and contended with as a nation. Talking about in economic terms, in human terms, in military terms, in anxiety terms. And so I believe very strongly that it's a new day in the fight against insecurity in this country. And I'm not too sure the president just said, go deal ruthlessly with Southeasterners. I'm not too sure he said, go deal ruthlessly with Southwesterners. Go deal ruthlessly with Northeast people. No, he just gave a clear marching order.
Okay, now let's come to you, Senator. We saw Buhari speaking to Nigerians from a perspective that some people have described as a monarchical complex. He was speaking to us as if he was a monarch. And some people have said that he should have been more open on a lot of issues, on a wide range of issues, that what he even touched was not enough. But considering how bandits have gone all through rampage, especially through the south, through the northwest region, with even his homestead affected, which you come from, do you think this order is enough to stop these bandits from attacking more communities? Do you think that the military has the capability to actually enforce the president's order and will see results in a few weeks or few months' time, like the president said?
First of all, let us talk within context. We're talking of a president that has been a military man all through his life. So obviously that would have had to have an effect on the way he talks and the way he communicates. And we saw it there. But coming back to really the issue you have raised, first of all, he is the commander-in-chief. He gives the orders. Obviously, he will not come in here to tell us precisely what the orders are. But from the way he talks, we are quite certain that he has given the right order. And indeed, it is for that reason, and that reason alone, that some people are fearful that maybe the execution of the orders he has given would have effect on them as persons or as individuals. But coming back to really what is happening, you see, drastic situations honestly require drastic measures.
And not negotiation, because some people in the Northwest say that he should think of negotiating.
No. You see, it is not
negotiating with some of these people.
You see, you negotiate with people that you know, and you will negotiate better from position of strength. You see, violence or war never settles anything.
But we've seen Northwest governors negotiating with these bandits.
No. But they themselves, they are retracting. They are telling you that even the negotiations they have had have not really yielded that much of results.
Okay. Just hold on. Okay. I need to get your view on that. Should President Buhari have been given these ruthless orders before now, or should negotiations be embarked upon? Because, for example, we still have almost 200 students of an Islamic school, kids that are still with these bandits. If you give ruthless orders like this, wouldn't they be consumed in the inferno that may arise?
Well, you know, it will be overreaching myself and taking myself too seriously if I feel I could review what a president who's been a general, who is still a general, and the commander-in-chief says. He sees more than me, but this is what I know. When the United States started Department of Homeland Security, it was a response to 9/11. And I remember that the first motion of the 7th Assembly House of Representatives was moved by me on the very first day. The title of that motion was...
Sorry, I've been told we just have to go on a quick break. When we come back, you'll continue.
All right.
You're still watching the Arise. This week on Arise News right here, and I have with me Senator Ibrahim Ida, Honorable Bimbo Daramola. When we come back from this break, we'll continue. Just stay with Arise News here. welcome back to This Week on Arise News. I still have with me here Senator Ibrahim Ida and Honorable Bimbo Daramola. They are still with me here discussing President Buhari's latest interview with Arise News. And so, Honorable Bimbo, you were saying something earlier on, though you prefer to be called congressman for your own reasons.
Because that's what's correct.
You were assessing President Buhari's interview before we went on that break. Right.
So I said I will be overreaching myself if I think I know as much as the president does, and then gain a reputation. But let's quickly do a backtrack. Security cannot be a one-line graph. That's number one. And I was telling you that in 2011, the first motion of the 7th House of Representatives, I moved it on the very first day, even as a rookie parliamentarian. And the title was Emerging Threats to Internal Security and the Need for a Department of Homeland Security. Now, what I am trying to drive at is that you dimension the problem. What the president said is part of the dimensioning of the problems. Now, how the guys who have boots to the ground translate and equate that is a different thing altogether. And of course, there are other parts of this dimensioning process that will involve infrastructure, reforms. And I'm aware that in the speech that the president gave today, he spoke a lot about some of the causes of insecurity. Poverty, unemployment, and what the government has been able to do. But you see, the point is that we do not have the indulgence of time to have things go on for too long before appraisals are done. And that's where I will expect that other layers of government will key into it in such a way that we can periodically and quickly begin to assess that we went that way, how far did we go?
One very key issue that I want to talk about here is Buhari's reference to the 60s, where he talked about open grazing, and then the fact that he has asked the Attorney General to refer back to the gazettes of the past on grazing routes and all of that. Some people have said that the president shouldn't have made reference to that part because we've already gone beyond that. The country has gone beyond that. The north he's even referring to, where these people passed through with the animals, all those areas have been used up, including by the military that has now cited barracks and all of that in all those former grazing routes. Do you think it was a good reference to have actually said that he's asking the Attorney General to refer to the past? No, would that solve the farmer header cattle?
No, I think
farmer header clashes.
Yeah, you have to appreciate that he was really trying to show that this is a problem caused by so many things, amongst which the fact that there has been an encroachment on what used to be. Now, of course, we all knew that at one time there were clearly defined demarcations on how these cattle or animals should move. It happened. Now, the question is that when these things were encroached upon, how was it? The Land Use Act of 1978 vested lands on state governments. Now, were these it is okay to get it because if it has been done in the past, it must exist. If you now refer to it and you find out that no, a lot of these places had been encroached upon illegally, and that's what he said. He said those who encroached, you don't encroach on something if it was given to you legitimately. So he was saying that get these things, define the rules and find out who have really are using it now. Are they there as encroachers, or were they legitimately allocated these places? Now, so reference to 1960, he's not taking us back. He's trying to say that at one time there was in place an arrangement that ensured that both the herders.
But he was saying that principle, if followed, can help to resolve this farmer-herder clashes.
But you see, obviously, yes. If you now identify these places, and you find that they have been encroached upon, of course you take them away.
Because people expected the president to just say, look, guys, let's all go for ranching now because this is no longer fashionable.
No, but you see, ranching requires land. And these places that have been encroached upon could really serve as the take-off points for this ranching. So really, the two are not mutually exclusive.
Okay.
Yes.
But I just want to have your own view on President's reference to IPOB as just being like a dot in a cycle. Some people have said that he was actually referring to the entire Southeast, and that making such a reference doesn't really go down well with a lot of the Southeasterners.
I'm not too sure this president also would want to classify a zone like a dot. I honestly don't think so. You know, I'm not too sure if it was the interview granted to NTA or yours now. The president works very emotional. He said, when I joined the military, I said I was going to lay my life down for this country. That's the way generals speak. And at that point in time, I had a different view of Buhari.
Yeah, it was actually with the NTA interview.
It was NTA.
Yes.
It was a diametric shift. One, leaders must be emotional, but they must not act emotionally. They must act with reason, even though they are emotional. Now,
the Southeast zone has had a lot of tension, and people
fantastic. But then you
people
see,
say he should have been very careful in some of the words.
Maybe the guys who prepared all of those things and all. But the truth of the matter is that I am not too sure a man who fought to keep Nigeria one would rather another nation carved out of Nigeria. I'm not too sure. It doesn't make sense. He didn't do that when he was a lot younger. Now, when he's in his twilight, the twilight of his life, and I pray that he has more years, but in his twilight of his years, I'm not too sure he's going to. But this is the thing. The narratives going out of Southeast must also be contextualized. I have an aversion for Nnamdi Kanu, who could as well have been a son to President Buhari. With the way the guy prods and primes people. Were you really thinking that you have an assault? You assault infrastructure that belongs to the state. You put people in harm's way, and then you expect a President Buhari to sit and say, okay, it's a nice time to have lunch with you. I'm not too sure that's right.
We actually saw the presidency making moves yesterday. There was this meeting between the the Minister of Defense and the federal government team, and then Southeast leaders. Let's have your view on that.
You see, the question is this: when you consider the president as someone that has, in his own prime, who went and fought in a civil war to keep Nigeria one. In the process, he lost friends, he lost relations, and he saw actual suffering. So in a good place now to really advise and show up that, look, if we continue with this trend, in fact, the consequences are going to be very good.
But the Southeasterners have also said that if the president continues with the trend of not appointing them to specific federal positions, then it means that they are being sidelined.
He has answered that. He answered that very clearly. When you talk about the military, he said, look, in appointment to the military commands, you take a lot of factors into consideration.
But what of the political positions?
Yeah, but tell me, excuse me, no, I'm not.
Because they were expecting maybe a secretary to the government of the federation.
I'm not holding brief. Have the people from the South, have they not held that position? If they had, so it means at the time they held it, some others were not holding it. So it only becomes natural that, at one time others too will hold it. And let me tell you this. If you now go into the system, he made reference to one thing. You don't talk of one thing in isolation. Go into the public service in general. Go into the civil service and find out that are they not there? Are they not really represented there? I'm not saying that they are there as many as they want to be, but I believe that if you want to make an issue of anything, you can make it, especially in a political dispensation that we have.
Okay.
Yes.
Just very quickly, would you want to say that the president was very spot on in 30 seconds when he said that when he retires, he will just be going straight to his farm? Because a lot of people say that he was sounding as if he's not going to actually have an interest in who succeeds him.
that falls within the purview of the president to exercise who succeed. I mean, whatever he does after May 29, Nigerians will herald him back home to Katsina, to Dara. But the truth of the matter is that another life starts for him from there.
All right. We'll just have to go on another break. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. You're still watching This Week on Arise News. Stay with us. right, you're still watching This Week on the Arise News, and we've been discussing issues pertaining to President Buhari's exclusive interview with Arise News. And we still have with us here Senator Ibrahim Ida, who is a former senator, and then he's also the deputy chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum. And then we also have Honorable Bimbo Daramola, but he likes calling himself Congressman Bimbo Daramola, former Honorable member representing Ekiti in the 7th National Assembly. And we will be joined by someone from the diaspora, and once we establish that contact, I will let you know immediately. Okay, so we'll be joined by Dele Ogun from London. He's actually a legal practitioner and a rights activist. Thanks for joining us, Dele, on the show. All right, but let me just come back to the studio here, where I want you to actually, in trying to round off this conversation on President Buhari's interview, tell me what you think about the politics. When Buhari was asked about rotational presidency, a lot of people say he was dodgy. He was throwing his responsibility to the APC. Yes, the APC has a structure that should allow the president to emerge, a presidential candidate to emerge, but President Buhari should have given the kind of qualities of the next presidential candidate from the APC.
You see, the president is a politician, and I would say a seasoned one now. So really, he speaks politically. Now, it will be wrong of him to really come and indicate that this is how he's going to follow, or this is what is going to be done.
Kind of qualities that an APC presidential candidate should have.
No. You see, the Constitution is very clear as to the qualities, as to the qualifications. And I believe that the president, being a loyal party man, said that, well, in the same way as it was the party that saw to his emergence as the candidate and ultimately as the president, so also will it be next time round. Because really, in as much as you cannot say he will not be interested as to who succeeds him, but the moment he gives indication and he says qualification, people will say, aha, now he is meaning this, or he's saying it should not be this. So I think the way he spoke was really well.
Okay, Congressman, a lot of people have said that Buhari was dodgy on the issue of the North-South geopolitical balancing that we should be having in our polity. Did you expect President Buhari to actually use that opportunity to say, look, it's time for the South to have this presidency? And do you think he was also making reference to Tinubu, as some people have said, when he said that someone should not stay in Lagos and take some decisions for the party?
Well, I mean, the two questions are intertwined. And I think, in one breath, I think the president who's just done come mid-term into his second term, still has a little bit of work to do. He has, at least at the minimum, 1 full year to be able to begin to tighten, cross the T's and dot the I's and tighten all loose ends as he gradually begins to exit town. So it would be very impolitic of this president to say, oh no, this is my direction. There is no doubt about it. This is the second part of your question, that this president or any president whatsoever will be interested in who takes the baton from him. He would look back in time and said, I put 8 years into this job. I'm not going to have somebody come rip all of those apart. So, but then to now begin to micro-suggest may also, this country.
Well, he just sounded like he would just pack his things and go to Katsina and concentrate on his farm. A lot of people have been using this against the president, that when it comes to party issues, he's aloof. And he's just like, well, whatever happens to the APC after I leave, it's fine. But although he tried to make it very clear that he's interested in the party structure at the point. True.
Now, the flip side of what you have said also shows very clearly that the president, there was clear difference to the party. And of course, one thing that nobody, even if the president has all of the powers and all of those things, but the truth of the matter is that the party will still have to decide on where we go. Well, I'm a member of the party.
Experience has shown that the presidency plays a very large role in determining who succeeds. Just very quickly before we go to the next issue.
You'll find out that the president is a military man, as I said. So in the military, you always allow things, you plan things and allow them to go. You come in when there is a hitch. He has showed it. When the APC was going haywire, he quickly came in and put it right. That is precisely what's going to happen.
He gave a directive
Yes.
for APC to have an interim national committee for 6 months, and that 6 months has now become a year.
He has
even with
he has commented that, look, that, you see, obviously, look, to get a party in good shape takes time. And he has said that very soon, by the end of this month, they are going to present their report. So it means that...
Why is that happening? Because all
No,
of them
because
are
a lot
looking
of-
forward to Buhari to give
Obviously,
direction.
No, he has
If
given
not,
the
we should have
direction.
had a convention by the APC
He
right
is
now.
not a dictator. You would expect him to dictate that this way. No, he allows the political system to work.
Very interesting.
Yes.
indeed.
The only sort of side of that is if president starts to show his interest now, the whole of the environment will shut down.
But it looks like the party leadership is waiting for his body language.
No,
That's
sir.
what he's saying.
I disagree with
Yeah.
I disagree with my senior my father here. But the truth of the matter is that politics drive our economics here and virtually everything else. So I believe that people would have to look up to the president, no doubt about that. When it was the PDP, people looked up to the president. So the way we've been playing our policies and configured, but the truth of the matter is that the sense of responsibility also lies on this president to say, let me have enough of time, maybe maximize this 1 year in such a way that the whole of the environment does not get taken over by politicians who are ministers, who are MDAs and all of those things.
Indeed. Well, Nigeria celebrates Democracy Day today. June 12 marks a memorable day in the country's political history. And we'll just take a listen to President Buhari's speech and then we'll have analysis.
Fellow Nigerians, I join you all today to commemorate and celebrate our Democracy Day. It is a celebration of freedom and a victory for one people, one country, and one Nigeria. As with all democracies, we will always be going through improvement processes in our desire to reach the goal of a mature democracy, a strong, evolved, and integrated nation state to be reckoned with globally. In the last 2 years, we have witnessed and overcome a good number of testy challenges that would have destroyed other nations, especially relating to our collective security.
All right, President Muhammadu Buhari, they're addressing Nigerians on June 12th, and we would want to get a reaction from Nigerians in the diaspora to just set the template for this discussion on what they think of President Buhari's June 12th address, and then, of course, how it was received outside the country. And we've had protests along some areas, and then supporters of President Buhari also coming out to march in his support right here in the capital city and other parts of the country. So, well, we have Dele Ogun joining us from London right now, and I want to get your feedback on the president's address.
Well, we in the Fatherland group found it very amusing because he spoke of a day to commemorate and celebrate our Democracy Day, a celebration of freedom. Well, it's a strange celebration when you then send fully armed police and troops onto the streets to stop unarmed demonstrators exercising what should be their democratic right to protest against the performance of this administration. So you see, being a president takes more than reading somebody's pre-prepared speech. It is not the ability to read the letters in front of you that makes you a president or presidential. It requires genuine leadership, and genuine leadership requires genuine concern for the condition of one's people. It seems as if we on the ground are playing politics. We're not practicing politics. We're playing politics. Right down to, I heard the earlier discussion talk about constitution. The reality, the world will tell you, is that you don't have a constitution. We don't have a constitution. We have a document that talks about we, the people, and it calls itself the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But I, as a lawyer, draft documents every day. And if I like, I can put the Constitution of the United States of America. That does not make it the Constitution of the United States of America. What makes it the Constitution?
Okay, now, well, that document is an acceptable document by Nigerians, and that's what actually ensures that we have rule of law at the moment, though not many people may want to say that they were happy with how it was founded. But that is the guiding document, it's the ground norm at the moment. But let's come to the democracy we're talking about. How democratic do you think Nigeria's democracy is at the moment?
Well, you can't be democratic if you've got the first principle wrong. To say that the people have accepted it, there's a difference between acceptance, endorsement, and suffering. What the people are doing are suffering a document. Every organization has rules of conduct. That's all it is. That's all we've got. It's rules of conduct drawn up by some unknown people who have called it a constitution. So that doesn't make it a grundnorm. That might be the guiding principles that those in the National Assembly are using to conduct their affairs, but let them not deceive themselves into thinking it is the Constitution of the people of Nigeria.
Yeah,
the Constitution of the people of Nigeria.
Okay, just hold your thoughts there while I get the views of these two gentlemen here, because they've all been lawmakers at one time or the other. Let's start with you, Senator.
See, I'm surprised. I'm a lawyer like him, but I can say that we have a constitution, really. Maybe, there are areas of it that need to be corrected, but we do have. And
we'll go to that.
You see, but
the matter right now is on Nigeria's democracy day today.
Okay, so really, I find it really strange that a lawyer should say that. Now, what has happened today? Of course, Democracy Day is something to be celebrated. What has the government said? Say, well, all right, fair enough. Judging from what happened just recently, when hoodlums took over the anti-SARS and SARS and went into havoc, and they created, lives were lost. I mean, it is not surprising or strange for government to say, no, celebrate, but don't come out, because we know we don't have the culture. We may think that we do, but we don't have the culture, really, of late, of peaceful demonstration. Now, that is what here. But to get back to the June 12, and yes, you see, you'll find out that it is good. The president came and now said that, look, rather than us celebrating democracy on the day we are sworn in, let it be when something really happened.
A landmark day.
Exactly. And what is it? He has now come, he has addressed the nation, and it is now left for us to justify that really the sacrifices of those who suffered on June 12 is really worth the while, that they have not suffered in vain.
Okay. So, well, we'll just have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the views of Congressman Bimboda Ramola, but we'll just have to go on this short break right away. Stay with Arise News. You're still watching This Week on Arise News. I'm Somna Sambo, and we still have with us here in the studio Honorable Bimbo Daramola, who likes calling himself a congressman. Well, he was a member of the House of Reps representing Ekiti North in the 7th National Assembly. And then we have a non-serving Senator, Ibrahim Ida, who is also the Deputy Chairman of the Arewa Consultative Forum. And then we have, joining us from London, the diaspora, Dele Ogun, who is one of the leaders of the Fatherland Group. Is actually a lawyer and then a rights activist. And we've been discussing Nigeria's Democracy Day alongside other issues. Now, let's come to you, Honorable Bimbo Daramola, your views on Nigeria's Democracy Day and how President Muhammadu Buhari has been able to shift this day successfully from May 29 to June 12. And some people say that's a milestone by the Buhari administration itself.
Well, if you oblige me, I am aghast, I'm shocked, and I'm going to sit in this studio and watch that document that I was sworn in by on the 6th of June 2011 derided. That document, 378 sheets, is what we are even talking about. That's why we have in the country.
That's the Constitution.
That's the
You're making reference to Dele Ogun's
I'm not even a lawyer, but I respect the views of Mr. Dele Ogun and whatever his issues about imperfections of that Constitution. But the truth of the matter is that nobody will tell me that there's no Constitution. There is a Constitution. We have a country, and the law and order that we tend to espouse and take and sift from today, we derive the authority from there. The court sits by that Constitution. National Assembly sits by that Constitution. President Buhari is in the villa by that Constitution. So if he's abroad, that is abroad and referred to as a diasporan, it's also as a function of recognition. NIDCOM encapsulates him. It's also constitutional. So with due respect, Mr. Dele Ogun, there's a Constitution. Now we go back to democracy. Democracy is a journey. It's not a destination. That's why you talk about 400 years of democracy in some climes. India, the United States, and some other parts of the world. We've just done maybe 60, maybe counting from 1999, less than 30, less than 52, 22, unbroken 22. You know, so there will be imperfections. We're still taking our baby steps. The question is, and I'm not making excuses, you don't want to tell me that, oh, because my father rode bicycles to school, my kids should ride bicycle to school. So, well, there were protests all around Nigeria today. Very quickly, what do you make of those protests against President Buhari and the Democracy Day beings? Listen, it is also functional that people have a means of expression enshrined in that Constitution. People must, the one obligation that government has is to ensure that you don't, where your right starts, mine doesn't end. To also ensure that whatever you do within the ambits of the law that is captured and encapsulated in that Constitution that Mr. Dele Ogun just derided. Okay, well, we just have to move on to the next story because we don't have enough time. Well, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, is seeking public understanding on why the National Assembly keeps approving specific borrowings for President Muhammadu Buhari's government to achieve its campaign promises despite outcry by Nigerians. Let's just listen to what he said while celebrating his second year of his Senate presidency.
The option is to borrow, and to borrow responsibly. Before we borrow, we have to identify those essential infrastructure that we need to provide for our economy to grow. Are there favorable conditions? Moratorium, the interest rate, and so on and so forth? Yeah, there are. In fact, some of the loans, the bilateral ones particularly, are even zero interest rate, concessionary, so to speak. So, since we don't have better options, and not to do anything is not an option at all, we have to bite the bullet and accept the request. But we must ensure also that those projects, when completed, are able to help in revenue generation to pay for the debt.
Well, very interesting there by the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, saying we have to bite the bullet. And I'll go straight to you, Dele Ogun. What do you make of that statement by the Senate President that, look, we just have to receive these foreign loans and then approve them so that Nigeria will have the critical infrastructure needed very quickly, because we're ending the show?
Very quickly, but I must quickly say that Congressman could be forgiven because by his own admission, he's not a lawyer. My learned friend, Ibrahim Ida, he will be aware of the principle of law, that fraud unravels all. So if there's fraud in that document saying we the people, it's unraveled. That's why we do not have a constitution. For a constitution, you must ask the people, what kind of union do you want? What kind of unity? We know you want unity. What kind? Is it the unity of the orange, where every segment sits side by side, comfortable in their own space, with the skin representing Nigeria? Or is it the union of the apple, where everything is mashed and crushed, all our 371 ethnic groups crushed into one? You must ask the people. So, Congressman, there's no escape.
Well, let's just go straight to the issue of the Senate, so that we don't spend much time on that.
As regards the Senate, I find them all very entertaining, but until they address the fundamental, because you build a house on solid foundations. If your foundations were rotten and fractured, you will build nothing. Everything else is vanity.
Okay. Well, let's come back to you, distinguished. In all of this, we've seen, Nigerians crying that the loans are just too much. Very quickly, as we go, what do you think President Buhari has been doing with these loans? And do you think the National Assembly is right to bite the bullet, just like the Senate President said?
You see, what people tend to forget is that inherent in the budget that it was approved is really a statement that so-so and so is going to be borrowed to fund the aspect of the budget. Now, what is being done now is simply to translate what has already been approved previously to reality. And you see, the Constitution clearly states that the National Assembly should give consent for any borrowing. And he doesn't write a letter to them. He tells them precisely what the loan is for, exactly what the terms are, where the source is, and the National Assembly members are knowledgeable people of various backgrounds. And I know that the committees of the Senate that are most relevant to the appreciation are people who know. So definitely, I believe that the National Assembly is doing their duty by having this in and approving it. I'm sure there have been instances in the past when the National Assembly has said no.
Yes, so let's have your views. Loan or no loan? Are we having too much loans?
No.
And your view generally?
Okay, my view generally, but then I'll quickly I'll let Mr. Ogu realize that the fact that I'm not learned does not mean I'm an illiterate. We the people is less than, that's like 10 words.
Of the pages of the
yes, not even a paragraph.
Okay,
so that invalidates a document that establishes National Assembly that swore me in, that swore Daddy in, and all. Okay. Come on, so it doesn't. So now about the loans, I would have wanted the Senate President, with due respect, not to have used the phrase like "buy the bullet." Buy the bullet means you're dying. So I wish there will be a retraction of that. But the truth of the matter is that for what somebody like Rotimi Amici had done with the loans. Yeah. I would, that's an investment into the future. You're fast tracking into the investment.
Incidentally, it was happening the same week the president was commissioning that.
Now you can cut this government some slack by saying that, oh, look at what Amici has done with the loans he's taking and all of those things. What I would expect also will be that there will be clear oversight of every step that we take with these loans. And of course, we are mindful of how to pay back. Somebody once said that every Nigerian is indebted to
well, I must thank you, gentlemen, for finding time to come to us, Senator Ibrahim Ida, a non-serving senator of the 6th Assembly.
Where he is, the British, they don't even have a written one. Nonetheless, they accept that they have a constitution.
Okay, very interesting indeed. And Honorable Bimbo Daramola, and then Mr. Dele Ogun joining us from London. I must thank all of you for joining us. Thank you so much. Well, that's it for this edition of This Week. Very interesting one indeed. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambu.